My name is Hayden McNealy, and I will be presenting my seminar paper on technology and the impact on family, recognizing the importance of boundaries. This is a presentation for the completion of my graduate program at Missouri State University. Here is a look at the things we will discuss in this presentation. Without a doubt, the benefits of communication technology are numerous. For starters, the maintenance of worldwide relationships cannot be overlooked. Now, more than ever, families and friends remain close and intimately connected because of the benefits of these technologies. A recent study completed in 2015 by the Ericsson Consumer Lab notes that the ability to have continuous contact throughout the day with other family members increases the feeling of closeness and happiness. So regardless of where these members are located within the family, they can remain intimately a part of daily lives of their family members. Military families also benefit from these communications. Field in 2012 did an in-depth study of military families and found that these families liked internet-based communication best. For some, it allowed to see that their loved ones were okay. One mother recalls that Skype video calls were the best way that she could talk to her son because it allowed her to see that he looked happy and healthy and that he hadn't lost too much weight. The last group I studied that benefited from this communication technology were grandparents. Baker in 2011 said, "Certainly it's nothing new that kids are plugging in and staying connected. But what is new is that it may be a grandparent on the other end of that virtual tin can. And that technology is bridging the vast age and distance gap that has long divided generations." However, Dimmick, Fester, and Hopamazian note there is a flip side to every coin, though, and this increased connectivity also brings the potential for problems. As our technology is always or almost always with us, often in our pocket, it becomes easy for us to fill the gaps in our lives with technology use. Technology is constantly changing, therefore it's difficult to maintain a steady grasp on understanding exactly what platform resides in the home. Family communication, intimacy, and time together are being sacrificed at the hand of these rapid improvements. Technology has caught today's families on their heels. There was no rulebook, no instruction manual, and no warning on how pervasive these inventions would be 20 years ago when communication technologies became household items. Therefore, parents were unprepared on how to instruct their children on using technology well. Thus, technology has replaced time together in many homes. According to Chang in 2015, he says these adolescents today regard mobile and online communication as part of their daily routine. They are characterized to be isolated and technology savvy as their time is occupied by various online activities and perceived less contact with their family members. Marriages are also being impacted by communication technology use. McDaniel in 2015 reports that overall, about 70% of the women in a study for the Institute for Family Studies said that cell phone and smartphone use, computers, or TV interfered with their relationship with their partner at least sometimes or more often. 62% said technology interferes with their leisure time together. 40% said that their partner gets distracted by TV during their conversations. 33% said their partner checks his phone during meal times they spend together. And finally, 25% said their partner actively texts other people during face-to-face conversations. Nicholas Kadaris, in 2016, a professor of neuroscience and addiction expert, speaks to the increasing nature of technology use by today's children. He states his fear is in the effects these devices have on the brain development in children who continue excessive amounts of use. He goes on to say that the addictive power of social media and gaming systems is an electronic cocaine, and it has the same effects on the brain that addictive drugs do, requiring the user to continue the use of the product. The constant reward seeking and escalating challenges cause an increase in dopamine, which translates into addiction, Kadara says. The brain of a child is being introduced to technology at a younger age than ever before, and the effects of this will be seen in years to come. So the question remains, is the addiction real? Jaslow in 2012 published a study by Plus One where 17 men and women were diagnosed with Internet Addiction Disorder, or IAD. The participants were 14 to 21 years old, and they live in China. The study showed that Internet addiction might contribute to the same brain changes that are seen in alcoholics and drug addicts. The research found abnormal white matter on the brain scans of the addicts compared to scans of those of healthy brains. According to Jaslow, these findings displayed an interruption of the pathways that relate to emotions, decision-making, and self-control. This research was then compared to a previous study where similar white matter was found in brain scans of individuals who were known addicts to substances such as alcohol, cocaine, heroin, marijuana, meth, and ketamine. Furthermore, the addiction to the internet or other medias triggered the same part of the brain known as the reward center, or the ventral striatum, and dopamine is since they are making the user receive the same high after receiving a message or image that a drug addict would receive. The image to the right are depictions of these scans, the opiate addict on the left and the internet addict on the right. Unlike other addictive substances or activities, social media and technology exist outside what experts are calling stopping cues. Adam Alter, an associate professor of marketing and psychology at New York University's Stern School of Business, says that the results are staggering. The average millennial looks at his phone more than 150 times a day, and some studies suggest as much as 40% of the population suffers from one kind of internet addiction or another, whether it be gaming, pornography, or just email addiction. So then, what's a stopping cue? Simply, it's a natural signal that allows our brain to know that it's time to move on to the next activity. Examples of these would be turning to and reading the last page of a book, an empty plate, and even the sun setting. All natural signs that tell our brain, hey, it's time to move on. Certain technologies, like a television set, have built-in stopping cues, such as when a program ends and there's a commercial until the next one begins. However, social media and other platforms exist entirely without these built-in cues, eliminating the ability for the brain to naturally signal the user to move on or stop the activity. Schilke in 2018 says we are spending more and more time on our screens as opposed to the real world because our screen has no stop cue attached to it as it did in the past. So without stopping cues and a culture completely caught on its heels with the progression of technology, the youth of today are absorbed in devices and are not trained on how to stop the use. In fact, they often know no life other than in front of a screen. So what are the effects? Schilke in 2018 notes a couple. The image on the right represents what Schilke says are effects of our lack of stopping cues. We sleep less, we eat more, we work constantly, we work inefficiently, and lastly, we lose empathy and connection with others. The influence of technology touches every house in the nation almost, therefore exerting its power over the house and those who live there. Therefore, a stopping cue must be present. After extensive research over the last 2 years, I have come to the conclusion that using technology well means establishing boundaries within the home. It can be noted that boundaries may differ home to home, culture to culture, nation to nation, and even with the ages of the child within the home. But some form of boundary must be established in order for communication to thrive, whether it be parent to child, spouse to spouse, or even friend to friend. There has to be a form of expectation so that our ability to communicate can continue to thrive rather than be diminished at the hand of our devices. In order to establish what these guidelines or boundaries might be, a proposed focus group of 5 different ages will be facilitated. The purpose of these groups will be to understand perception of communication technologies in each age group and how to best utilize these devices within the family. Questions will remain constant for each group, but I anticipate different answers from the 2 younger groups of participants compared to the older groups. The predictions of the focus group outcome will be recorded, presented to the focus group, and then compiled in an analysis to publish for answers for experts to review. And with permission, I will record these interactions within the focus group as I feel intonation, body language, and really all forms of nonverbal communication will be helpful as I gather insight into these boundaries. In conclusion, technology and the rate at which it is improving is here to stay. For families in a culture where technology is ever increasing, it would be in their best interest to embrace the wave of communication devices. However, based on the research done for this paper, families would also be wise to implement guidelines to follow concerning technology use. There are many benefits and many disadvantages. So balancing the two and finding a middle ground within each individual home is necessary. Technology is here to stay, and it will continue to progress and move forward. However, family relationships built will remain the constant, and this generation must fight to maintain the necessity for personal communication. Understanding and establishing restrictions with communication technologies early in the home is a crucial point for a family to remain connected and involved in the lives of those they love and those they live with, all while enjoying the benefits technology has to offer our home.